Hello, friends. Close your eyes and let your mind wander back through the annals of time, to an era where fortunes were forged in the fires of war and commerce, and one family rose above all others to command wealth that eclipsed empires. Picture the bustling streets of Frankfurt in the late 18th century, where a young Mayor Amschel Rothschild, clad in simple attire, navigates the Jewish ghetto with a keen eye for opportunity. The air is thick with the scent of spices from distant trades and the clang of coins in merchants' purses. This is the true story of the Rothschilds, the richest family in history, whose legacy of banking brilliance and strategic alliances shaped the modern world. As you listen, let the gentle rhythm of this narrative and the imagined rustle of ledger pages lull you into a state of calm repose. This isn't a tale of mere riches, but of cunning minds that turned adversity into unparalleled power, a stark contrast to the fleeting fortunes of kings and conquerors who rose and fell around them. To grasp how the Rothschilds became synonymous with wealth, we must first hook into their humble origins. Mayer Amschel was born in 1744 in the Frankfurt Judengasse, a cramped ghetto where Jews were confined, their lives restricted by discriminatory laws. Unlike the opulent courts of Europe, where nobility flaunted gold, Mayer grew up in poverty. His father a money changer and textile trader who died when Mayer was just 12. This early loss forced young Mayer into the world of commerce, apprenticing with a banking firm in Hanover. Here, he learned the intricacies of finance, loans, currency exchange, and the art of collecting rare coins, which would become his gateway to influence. Contrast this with today's billionaires, who often inherit tech empires or venture capital. Mayer built his from scratch, his sharp intellect his only inheritance. By the 1760s, Mayer returned to Frankfurt, establishing a small banking house in the family home. His breakthrough came through connections with the Hessian nobility, particularly Landgrave William IX, who entrusted him with managing his vast fortune. William's wealth, derived from renting Hessian mercenaries to Britain during the American Revolutionary War, flowed through Mayer's hands. This was no ordinary banking. Mayer's discretion and efficiency earned him a reputation that spread across Europe. A strong hook here is the irony. While revolutions raged, toppling old orders, the Rothschilds quietly profited, their network expanding like invisible threads, weaving through the continent's chaos. Mayer's genius lay in his family strategy. He married Gutel Schnapper in 1770, and together they raised 5 sons and 5 daughters. Unlike families that squandered wealth through division, Mayer groomed his sons, Amschel, Salomon, Nathan, Carl, and James, as partners in the business. He dispatched them to key European cities, Nathan to London in 1798, Salomon to Vienna, Carl to Naples, James to Paris, while Amschel stayed in Frankfurt. This created a pan-European banking network, a contrast to localized banks vulnerable to regional turmoil. Their communication system, using couriers and carrier pigeons, was faster than governments, giving them an edge in information and deals. The Napoleonic Wars, 1799-1815, were the Rothschilds' crucible. As armies marched, economies crumbled, but the brothers thrived. Nathan, in London, financed the British war effort, smuggling gold across the Channel to Wellington's troops. Legend has it, Nathan learned of Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo before the British government, profiting massively on bonds. While myths exaggerate, the truth is their network allowed arbitrage, buying low in one country, selling high in another. Contrast this with the devastation faced by ordinary folk. The Rothschilds turned war's horror into opportunity, their wealth ballooning to millions. By Mayer's death in 1812, the family's fortune was immense, but his will ensured unity. Only sons could inherit shares. Daughters married within the family to keep wealth intact. This intermarriage, common among European Jewry, preserved control but invited anti-Semitic tropes of conspiracy, a shadow that dogged them. Yet, their philanthropy, funding hospitals, schools, and synagogues, countered this, a smooth transition from merchants to benefactors. The 19th century saw their peak. Nathan's London branch dominated finance, backing railways and mines. James in Paris financed French infrastructure. Salomon in Vienna, the Austrian Empire. Their loans to governments made them indispensable. When Britain needed funds for the Crimean War, the Rothschilds provided. A hook. They were the bankers of kings, yet kings begged at their doors. Contrast with today's central banks. The Rothschilds were a private powerhouse, their influence rivaling states. Their rise wasn't without peril. Anti-Semitism fueled attacks, like the 1848 revolutions targeting their homes. But they adapted, gaining titles, barons in Austria, peers in England, integrating into aristocracy. Lionel de Rothschild's 1858 election to Parliament as the first Jewish MP marked social ascent. As the sun sets on this era, the Rothschilds' story teaches resilience amid flux. Let this chapter's echoes fade, the ledger closing softly. As we delve deeper, the early 19th century dawns with the Rothschild name etched into the financial fabric of Europe, a beacon of wealth amid the smoky haze of industrial revolutions and political upheavals. Picture Nathan Rothschild pacing the docks of London in 1815, his sharp eyes scanning the horizon for news of Waterloo, the Thames lapping gently against the ships that carried his gold. The air carries the tang of salt water and coal, a world buzzing with change. Yet the Rothschilds stand as pillars of stability, their wealth a fortress built on war's chaos. This is the true story of their ascent, where cunning outpaced cannons, a stark contrast to the crumbling estates of nobility who relied on land rather than intellect. As you drift with this tale, let the rhythmic splash of oars and the imagined hum of commerce lull you into a serene escape, where history's pulse beats softly. Nathan's triumph at Waterloo cemented the Rothschilds' legend. While Napoleon's defeat reshaped Europe, Nathan exploited the moment, buying British bonds at a discount as panic gripped London, then selling at a premium when victory news arrived. Estimates suggest his profit reached $20 million, over $2 billion today, though records are murky, fueling myths of omnipotence. This wasn't luck, but a network's precision. Couriers outraced official dispatches. Pigeons carried coded messages. Contrast this with modern stock traders reliant on digital feeds. Nathan's edge was human ingenuity, a hook that pulls you into the thrill of outsmarting empires. The brothers' branches synchronized like a well-tuned orchestra. Salomon in Vienna financed the Austrian Empire's recovery, issuing bonds to rebuild after Napoleon's ravages. Karl in Naples supported the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, securing loans that stabilized its shaky throne. James in Paris, navigating post-war France, lent to Louis XVI his charm disarming critics. Amschel in Frankfurt anchored the family's roots, managing the patriarch's legacy. Their letters, written in a private code, crisscrossed Europe, a web of trust that outpaced postal services. This unity contrasts fragmented family businesses today, where succession often breeds rivalry. The Rothschilds thrived on cohesion. Their wealth funded monumental projects. Nathan backed the Suez Canal, a lifeline connecting East and West, while James financed French railways, their steel tracks slicing through countryside. The family's loans to Britain for the Crimean War, 1853-1856, were pivotal, their gold greasing the wheels of empire. A strong hook here is the scale. They lent more than entire nations' treasuries. Their influence, a shadow over parliaments. Unlike modern corporations with public accountability, the Rothschilds operated in secrecy, their power veiled, a contrast that intrigues. Anti-Semitism shadowed their rise. The 1819 Hep riots in Germany targeted Jewish bankers, with Rothschild homes sacked. Caricatures depicted them as puppet masters, a stereotype born of envy, as their loans propped up indebted monarchs. Yet they countered with philanthropy. Nathan funded a Jewish free school in London. James supported Paris hospitals. This duality, wealth and welfare, smoothly transitions their image from profiteers to patrons, a narrative arc that softens the harshness of their critics. The second generation took the helm. Lionel, Nathan's son, expanded the London house, becoming the first Jewish MP in 1858 after a decade-long battle against anti-Jewish oaths. His wealth, estimated at $6 million by his death in 1879, funded art and science, a contrast to aristocrats who hoarded land. Alphonse in Paris weathered the 1870 Franco-Prussian War, his loans stabilizing France's economy. A hook. Their resilience turned crises into conquests, a trait that outlasted kings. Their lifestyle mirrored their status. Mansions like Waddesdon in England boasted opulent gardens and art collections, yet family letters reveal a frugal streak. Meyer's admonition to avoid extravagance lingered. Contrast this with today's billionaires flaunting private jets. The Rothschilds invested in legacy, not flash. Their marriages, often within the family, Lionel to Charlotte, his cousin, preserved wealth, a practice that raised eyebrows but ensured control. As evening falls, the clink of glasses at a Rothschild gala echoes, their influence weaving into Europe's elite. Let this prosperity's hum fade, the candlelight dimming as we explore their zenith. The mid-19th century unfolds like a grand opera, with the Rothschilds as the unseen conductors, their influence resonating through the halls of power from London to Vienna. Envision James de Rothschild in his Parisian mansion in 1848, the air thick with the scent of polished mahogany and cigar smoke, as revolutionaries storm the streets outside. The family's wealth, now in the billions by modern standards, allows them to weather the storm, their banks providing stability amid chaos. This era marks the zenith of their power, where they financed nations and shaped policies, a profound contrast to the ghetto origins that birthed their empire. As you settle deeper into this narrative, let the distant clamor of crowds and the imagined rustle of diplomatic letters ease you into a tranquil reverie, where history's grand sweep becomes a soothing whisper. The 1848 revolutions, sweeping Europe like a wildfire, tested the Rothschilds' resilience. In Vienna, Salomon's palace was looted, his family fleeing as mobs chanted against Jewish bankers. Yet he rebuilt, his loans to the Habsburgs ensuring their survival. In Paris, James navigated the fall of Louis Philippe, backing the new republic with funds that stabilized the economy. Lionel in London, meanwhile, advocated for Jewish emancipation, his parliamentary seat a milestone. Their ability to adapt, shifting from monarchs to republics, highlights a hook. While dynasties crumbled, the Rothschilds endured, their wealth a buffer against revolution's tide. Contrast this with aristocratic families ruined by upheaval. The Rothschilds' diversified investments and family unity proved superior. Tobacco and railways fueled their expansion. Alphonse in Paris invested in French colonies, his banks funding Algerian infrastructure. Nathaniel in London pioneered diamond financing, backing Cecil Rhodes's De Beers. James's son, Edmund, turned to philanthropy, establishing Jewish settlements in Palestine, laying groundwork for Zionism. This diversification contrasts earlier reliance on government loans. By mid-century, their portfolio spanned continents, a web of railroads snaking through Europe, mines yielding gold in South Africa. A strong hook. They weren't just bankers, but visionaries, turning industrial revolutions into personal fortunes. Anti-Semitic myths proliferated, fueled by their success. Books like The Protocols of the Elders of Zion falsely portrayed them as global puppeteers, a narrative exploited by figures like Napoleon III, who borrowed heavily but resented their power. The Rothschilds countered with discretion and charity. Lionel's $10,000 donation for Irish famine relief in 1847, or their support for the British Museum. This duality, vilified yet vital, smoothly transitions their role from outsiders to insiders, intermarrying with aristocracy. Alphonse's daughter to a French duke, Nathaniel's son to an English peeress. The American Civil War, 1861-1865, offered new opportunities. Belmont, their New York agent, navigated Union finances, while European branches hedged bets, lending to both sides indirectly. Their neutral stance profited amid the conflict's economic turmoil, a contrast to partisan bankers who faltered. Hooks like wartime profiteering intrigue. But the truth was pragmatic, preserving capital in uncertainty. Internal dynamics evolved. The third generation, educated at elite schools, blended into high society. Walter collected exotic animals for his Tring estate, while Lionel's son, Nathaniel, Natty, became a conservative MP, advising on imperial policy. Their wealth funded art. The Rothschilds amassed Rembrandts and Vermeers, their collections rivaling museums. This cultural patronage contrasted their commercial roots, elevating them to patrons of the arts. Challenges mounted. The 1873 stock crash hit hard, but their reserves cushioned the blow. Bismarck's unification of Germany marginalized Frankfurt's branch, yet Paris and London thrived. A hook. As nationalism rose, the Rothschilds' internationalism became both asset and liability, their passports to power in a fragmenting world. By the century's end, their fortune peaked at $2 billion adjusted, but cracks appeared. The death of James in 1868 and Nathan's heirs dispersed focus. Yet, their legacy endured, banks like N.M. Rothschild and Sons financing the British Empire's expansion. As twilight falls on this golden age, the chandeliers dim, transitioning to the 20th century's storms. The dawn of the 20th century casts a new light on the Rothschild Empire, a period where their wealth endures, but their unchallenged power begins to wane amid the rise of nation-states and corporate giants. Envision Natty Rothschild in his London study in 1900. the air scented with leather-bound books and the faint aroma of Earl Grey tea, as he pores over telegrams from across the globe. The family's fortune, now dispersed among branches but still immense, funds ventures from oil fields in Baku to mines in South Africa. Yet, the world is changing. Imperialism peaks, socialism stirs, and anti-Semitism festers. A stark contrast to the 19th century when monarchs bowed to their ledgers. As you immerse in this chapter, let the tick of a grandfather clock and the imagined shuffle of papers soothe you into a deeper calm, where the Rothschilds story transitions from dominance to adaptation. The Boer War, 1899-1902, exemplifies their waning influence. Natty, a close advisor to British leaders, helped finance the conflict against Dutch settlers in South Africa, his banks issuing bonds that raised millions. However, public backlash grew. Critics labeled the war a Jewish conflict due to the Rothschilds' mining interests through De Beers. This scapegoating, fueled by the press, marked a shift. Once revered as financial saviors, they now faced vilification. A strong hook here is the irony. The family that bankrolled Britain's empire became its convenient villain, their Jewish heritage amplified in caricatures. Contrast this with earlier eras where discretion shielded them. Now, mass media exposed their moves, eroding the mystique that protected their power. World War I, 1914-1918, further tested them. The brothers' branches, divided by national lines, found themselves on opposing sides. British Rothschilds supporting the Allies, Austrian ones the Central Powers. Lionel Walter in London raised funds for the war effort. His cousin Alfred in Vienna faced internment as an enemy alien. The family's internationalism, once an asset, became a liability in an age of nationalism. Yet they adapted. Post-war, they helped restructure Europe's debts, with Eugene in Paris aiding French Reconstruction. This resilience contrasts the devastation of aristocratic fortunes wiped out by the war. The Rothschilds' diversified assets, banks, estates, art, buffered the blow. The interwar period saw their philanthropy flourish. Lionel Nathan de Rothschild funded scientific research. His cousin Miriam established the Rothschild Foundation for Neuroscience. In Palestine, Edmund's son James continued settling Jews, investing millions in infrastructure, a precursor to Israel's founding. This shift from finance to legacy building smoothly transitions their role, a hook in their evolution from money lenders to global benefactors. Contrast with tycoons like Carnegie, who gave after amassing. The Rothschilds wove giving into their fabric, countering anti-Semitic narratives. Anti-Semitism reached a nadir with the Nazis' rise. In 1938, the Anschluss annexed Austria, and Louis Rothschild was arrested, his assets seized. The family paid a ransom for his release, a humiliating echo of medieval pogroms. In France, the Vichy regime looted their properties, while in England, they supported refugees. The Holocaust claimed distant relatives, but the core branches survived, their wealth preserved through Swiss accounts. This horror contrasts their 19th century triumphs. Power couldn't shield them from hatred's tide, a poignant hook in their story. Post-World War II, they rebuilt. Guy de Rothschild in France nationalized his bank, but pivoted to investments, while Jacob in England founded N.M. Rothschild and Sons as an investment bank. Their influence shifted to boardrooms, financing deals like the Eurotunnel. A contrast. From lending to kings, they now advised corporations, their names synonymous with discreet wealth management. Personal lives added color. Victor Rothschild, a scientist and MI5 advisor, spied during the war, his intellect a family trait. Evelyn de Rothschild married into philanthropy, supporting arts and conservation. This generation's diversity, bankers, scientists, philanthropists, transitions from unified empire to multifaceted legacy. Scandals occasionally surfaced. In the 1980s, the French branch faced nationalization under Mitterrand, a political blow. Yet, they rebounded, merging with David de Rothschild leading. The myth of their control persists in conspiracy theories, from the Illuminati to global finance domination, a shadow on their real achievements. As the century closes, their wealth, estimated at $1 to $2 billion per branch, remains formidable, but power is diffused. Let this evolution's echoes fade, the boardroom lights dimming, as we approach their modern era. The late 20th century ushers in a new chapter for the Rothschilds, a family whose wealth and influence adapt to a world of globalization and digital finance, yet retain echoes of their storied past. Imagine David de Rothschild in his sleek Paris office in 1980, the air tinged with the crisp scent of new paper and the hum of computers, as he navigates the aftermath of nationalization with a strategist's calm. Their fortune, though fragmented across branches, still commands billions, funding ventures from vineyards to venture capital. A stark contrast to the war-torn era that shaped their ancestors. As you sink into this narrative, let the soft click of keyboards and the imagined rustle of vintage wine bottles ease you into a tranquil state, where the Rothschilds' legacy evolves amid modern complexities. The 1981 nationalization of Banque Rothschild by France's socialist government was a seismic shock. David, then 38, restructured the family's French interests, merging with Lazard to form Rothschild and Say, a move that preserved their influence. This resilience contrasts the decline of old banking houses unable to pivot. Their adaptability, shifting from loans to investment banking, kept them relevant. A strong hook. While governments seized assets, the Rothschilds turned adversity into opportunity, their wealth rebounding to an estimated $1 billion by decade's end. Unlike today's tech moguls who thrive on innovation, their strength lay in reinvention. Globalization broadened their reach. Jacob Rothschild in London launched J. Rothschild Assurance, later evolving into St. James's Place, a wealth management firm serving high-net-worth clients. Evelyn de Rothschild chaired N.M. Rothschild & Sons, advising on privatizations like British Telecom in the 1980s. Their investments spanned oil in the Middle East, diamonds in Africa, and wineries in Bordeaux. Chateau Lafite Rothschild became a global name. This diversification contrasts 19th century reliance on government bonds. Now, they mastered markets from stock exchanges to vineyards, a smooth transition to a multifaceted empire. Philanthropy deepened. Jacob funded Waddesdon Manor's restoration, turning it into a cultural gem, while Ariane de Rothschild supported education initiatives. In Israel, the family's legacy through Edmund settlements evolved into the Rothschild Foundation, backing tech startups and peace projects. This giving, rooted in Mayer's values, contrasts modern billionaires' tax-driven donations. Theirs was strategic, enhancing their image amid anti-Semitic whispers. A hook. Their wealth built nations, from Palestine to Britain, a legacy etched in stone and silicon. Challenges persisted. The 1990s saw the British branch split, with Jacob and Evelyn parting ways, a rare fracture in their unity. Conspiracy theories surged online, linking them to everything from the Federal Reserve to climate agendas, fueled by their discreet style. Yet, they thrived. David's merger with Paris Orléans in 2003 unified French operations, boosting profits. This adaptability contrasts competitors like Barings, felled by scandals. The Rothschilds' low profile shielded them. The 21st century saw new ventures. Alexandre de Rothschild, David's son, took the helm in 2018, steering Rothschild & Co. toward fintech and sustainability. Their wealth, estimated at $400–500 billion across the family, includes art, real estate, and stakes in firms like Rio Tinto. A contrast. While tech giants dominate headlines, the Rothschilds' old money influence endures, their name a whisper in boardrooms. A hook. They remain the richest family, their fortune dwarfing modern billionaires when adjusted for inflation. Personal lives reflect this evolution. Nathaniel Nat Rothschild, a financier, married a Serbian model, blending old wealth with new glamour. His ventures in Russia and mining stirred controversy, yet added to the family's global footprint. The younger generation, Lynn Forrester de Rothschild in philanthropy, Edward in wine, diversifies further, a smooth transition from banking roots. Criticism lingers. Tax avoidance claims and conspiracy theories, amplified by the internet, paint them as shadowy elites. But their response, transparency and charity. Leadership in climate talks counters this. A narrative arc from myth to modernity. As night falls, the clink of a Rothschild wine glass echoes. The family's story, a tapestry of survival and reinvention. Let this legacy's warmth envelop you, guiding you to rest as we near the end. The present day finds the Rothschilds woven into the fabric of a globalized world. Their legacy a blend of historical grandeur and modern innovation. As the clock strikes a quiet 7:33 p.m. PKT on Friday, October 03, 2025, picture Alexandre de Rothschild in a Zurich boardroom, the air cool with the hum of advanced technology and the faint scent of aged leather from a family heirloom. As he oversees investments in renewable energy and artificial intelligence, their wealth, though debated, estimates range from $400 billion to over $2 trillion when including trusts, remains a colossus, a stark contrast to the 18th century ghetto where Mayor Amschel began. As you settle into this final chapter, let the gentle whir of progress and the imagined glow of a family portrait soothe you into a deep, restful slumber, where the Rothschild story closes with a whisper of enduring influence. Their current empire spans diverse horizons. Rothschild & Co., under Alexandra's leadership since 2018, advises on mergers like the $13 billion Sanofi Genzyme deal, while investing in green tech, solar farms in Spain, wind in Scandinavia. This pivot to sustainability contrasts their 19th century coal and oil ventures. Now, they align with a world demanding eco-consciousness, a hook that pulls in modern audiences. Unlike tech titans building from code, the Rothschilds adapt centuries-old wealth to new frontiers, their name still synonymous with financial acumen. Art and philanthropy remain pillars. The family's collections, Van Goghs, Picassos, adorn museums like the Louvre, a legacy preserved through trusts. Jacob's son Nathaniel funds conservation, protecting habitats in Patagonia, while Lynn Forrester de Rothschild chairs the Council for Inclusive Capitalism, bridging wealth and social good. This giving, rooted in Mayer's ethos, contrasts today's performative charity. Theirs builds institutions, hospitals, universities, shaping societies. A strong hook. Their wealth doesn't just accumulate, it creates, from Palestine settlements to Paris's parks. Challenges evolve with the digital age. Conspiracy theories, rampant on platforms like X, link them to global control, from central banking to climate agendas, fueled by their discreet style. Yet, they counter with transparency. Rothschild & Co.'s annual reports detail investments, while Alexandra speaks on ethical finance. This resilience contrasts firms felled by scandal. Their longevity, over 250 years, defies economic cycles, a testament to strategic marriages and diversified assets. The family's personal lives reflect global reach. Edward de Rothschild runs Chateau Lafite, his wines fetching thousands per bottle, a blend of tradition and luxury. His sister Ariane, co-head of the Swiss branch, balances banking with motherhood, a modern twist on family unity. Nathaniel's mining ventures in Mongolia stir debate, yet add to their portfolio a smooth transition from old-world banking to new-world risks. Contrast with today's influencers flaunting wealth. The Rothschilds' prominence is quiet. Their power in portfolios, not posts. Their influence persists in finance. They advised on Brexit fallout, financed tech startups, and hold stakes in giants like BP. Yet, power has diffused. Once they dictated terms to kings, now they compete with hedge funds and sovereign wealth funds. A hook. Their name still opens doors, from Davos to Wall Street. Their network, a living legacy. This shift contrasts their peak. Today's wealth is collective, not singular, diluted across 50-plus descendants. Anti-Semitism lingers, a shadow on their achievements. Online forums revive old tropes, but the family's response, supporting Holocaust memorials, funding Jewish education, reframes the narrative. Their adaptability, from ghettos to global boards, is their triumph, a smooth close to a saga of survival. As night deepens, the Rothschild Chateau glows softly, its windows reflecting a legacy of resilience. The crickets chirp, the river murmurs, and the story fades. Let this tale's warmth cradle you, its echoes lulling you to sleep. A journey through history's richest family complete.